Yeah.
So good morning, everybody. Let me make sure definitely it's still good morning, it's still morning. Today we are here to provide a presentation on a tool that helps build a comprehensive school mental health system. You may or may not have heard of it. It's called SHAPE, which stands for School Health Assessment and Performance Evaluation System. And we're going to give a little bit of background and then get really into the weeds about how you can use this tool to set up and monitor the progress of a comprehensive school mental health system in your school or wherever you're providing support. My name, by the way, I realized that we didn't introduce our own selves. Is Autumn White. I work for the Arizona Department of Education, and I am part of Project Aware, which I'm going to go ahead and advance the screen. Maybe it lets me. There we go, which is advancing wellness and resiliency in education. And I will hand it over to Amy to do a quick introduction of herself before moving on. Oh, and you're muted.
We're going to play the mute game for a while. So good morning, everyone. My name is Amy Castellanos. I am with Arizona Department of Education under the AWARE project as well. My background is in public health and advancing mental health and trauma-informed practices and healthy relationships. It's good to be here with you all.
Very excited. So just a little bit of information here about Project Aware. We have two iterations. It's a grant from SAMHSA. And so they provide the funding. We have an iteration that started in 2018, and we have another one that started in 2021. And in essence, we work with 6 model school districts under each program. And we're really working to build a comprehensive school mental health system through developing that infrastructure, ensuring engagement around mental health and wellness, and then training and professional development. So that's just a real brief overview of what Project Aware is. There's so much more that comes along with that. So if you have any questions about Project Aware, feel free to reach out to Amy or I after this session. And a lot of what we do is based on statistics and the data in the field currently. And I'm not going to read this entire slide to all of you, but I did want to point out some important information here as far as Arizona data goes. We have 1 in 10 students or 1 in 10 young adults who are experiencing serious mental illness. We have 31% of people have increased mental health or related emergency room visits. You'll see over on the right side of the screen some data that's starting to pop out and develop about after COVID. So we just really wanted to focus, this is the why. This is why we do what we do. This is why we want to make sure that we have really strong comprehensive school mental health systems throughout Arizona. At our goal, our pie in the sky dream is that every school would have a really good comprehensive school mental health system in place. And some of the reasons why we do this is we really want to make sure that we're focusing on those behavioral health needs and those mental health needs, because students are 6 times more likely to enter treatment when it's offered at schools. So school is a protected area for them. They feel more comfortable in receiving services there. It's more accessible to a lot of students and families when we address behavioral health and mental health in schools. Also, it reduces the amount of referrals to special education. And it also, you'll notice in the data over time that office disciplinary referrals are reduced, and there's higher graduation rates, as well as increased school connectedness and just the climate and culture of the school. When you're addressing, when you have a comprehensive school mental health system in place at a school, you really improve that dynamic of school climate and culture. I don't know why. There we go. Another part of ensuring comprehensive school mental health systems in schools is making sure we have protective factors in place so that students do feel supported and that there is a community surrounding them to help, because everybody's going to face difficulties, but with a strong framework of support with protective factors, we can really start to address some of those needs in a healthy way. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Amy.
So there's several components of a comprehensive school mental health system. Are you all familiar with what a comprehensive school mental health system is?
No, I can't see people, so.
Not really. Okay, no, Megan said not really. And I encourage you to jump off mute or to turn your cameras on, however you feel most comfortable participating. Okay. Andrea said, yes, she's comfortable, or she knows what the comprehensive school mental health system is. So these are just a few of those components. From funding pieces, we know that funding is really important, but mental health screening so that we can develop early interventions is also a huge piece of this. So well-trained educators that support personnel and some of those data-driven decisions. And that's why this SHAPE system is so important, because it helps us to define or to have the database and then also gives us the resources. Next slide, please. So the domains within the SHAPE system, it will actually follow a set of best practices and there's guides for them. So each one of these domains, from teaming to impact to screening, all will have very individualized supports. So you can scan the QR code here and be directed to the National Center for School Mental Health and to their resource page as well. So SHAPE is the system that we use, and kind of getting an idea of what SHAPE is, instead of going through a big long explanation and talking your ears off, we've created a fun little video that might help explain it just a little more.
Hey.
We're not getting the sound, Autumn.
Oh no, hold on. You can't. I am not sure.
When you share your screen, did you put share sound as well? So you might have to unshare and then reshare again. Bear with us just 1 second.
Technical difficulties, but we started early, so.
Yes.
All right, Amy, so I am sharing the presentation.
And then it says share sound on the bottom.
There it is.
Okay.
That's amazing. Okay, can you all see my screen again? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Yes, no?
Yes, we can.
All right, here we go. Let's give it another try.
Did you know there is a free tool to support comprehensive school mental health? Mental health supports in schools are needed now more than ever, requiring a systematic structure of supports. Schools and districts may be wondering where to start, or if their efforts are working, and where there are areas of opportunity to improve. The School Health Assessment and Performance Evaluation, or SHAPE system, is a public access, web-based platform that offers schools, districts, and states a workspace and targeted resources to support school mental health quality improvement. SHAPE was developed by the National Center for School Mental Health to increase the quality and sustainability of comprehensive school mental health systems. SHAPE houses the School Mental Health Quality Assessment and the Trauma Responsive Assessment. These measures are designed for team completion at the school or district level to document, assess, and prioritize quality improvement efforts and to track improvement over time. The SHAPE School Mental Health Quality Assessment is designed for school and district teams to assess the comprehensiveness of their school mental health system and identify priority areas for improvement. The School Mental Health Quality Assessment covers 7 domains of comprehensive school mental health, which includes a full continuum of supports for the well-being of students, families, and the school community. Schools and districts are faced with competing priorities and may wonder how SHAPE can support current goals. The tools within SHAPE help provide a safe and positive school climate to support well-being and increase student attendance and academic performance through equitable practices. The SHAPE system tools and resources promote sustainable systemic change. The SHAPE maps services and supports. The assessment tools use national performance standards. You receive customized reports for school or district teams and have access to a screening and assessment library, all while contributing to a district and state dashboard. Join thousands of schools and districts across the nation who are already using SHAPE to assess and improve their school mental health system. Sign up for a profile for yourself, school, district, or entity, and invite your team at theshapesystem.com.
All right. Okay, so that was a lot of information. And it said try SHAPE for free. And I just want to let you know that it is free. You're not just trying it like on a trial basis and then have to register. It is continuously free. And we have created this is a checklist of how you can get started with using SHAPE. So we're going to get into each of these steps, but we want to make sure that we follow these steps while we're going through and developing your profile or developing your account. So we're going to develop a team. We're going to open a SHAPE account. We're going to add team members, fill out a profile report. And then there's 2 different assessments that you can complete, which leads to a strategic planning guide and implementation guidance. So we're going to get a little deeper into all of that information moving forward. So when we're thinking about which team members are most appropriate to be a part of the SHAPE profile, we have a list here. It's not exhaustive of people who can be a part of the team. We have suggested admins, which are essentially folks that can go into the system and complete or make assignments, create a team. They're kind of in charge of the account. And then we also have team members. But what's important is that all of these members, it's a multidisciplinary team that come together that go through those assessments that really help determine where we're at in terms of building a comprehensive school mental health system, and then walking through and mapping ways to develop supports and to strengthen the system. And so it's important that we have teachers, social workers, counselors, psychologists. SHAPE even recommends having parents and students involved. School administrators, lead counselors, lead social workers, anybody like that, community progress manager or project managers can be an administrator. Really, it depends on the situation that you're in. And so when you get into the account and you're ready to set up your teams, on the left-hand side you'll see district admins, district team members. This is where you can go in and enter those district team members. And we also have the school mental health profile up here, which is the next thing that you'll do after you have your team set up, your multidisciplinary team set up. You want to go in and create your school mental health profile. And so the school mental health profile, it focuses on what students are served, what data, what kind of data and systems are already in place, what does the staffing look like, and then what services and supports are available at your school currently. And it really provides this is just a screenshot of the beginning of the profile, but it provides a comprehensive, like a high-level view of what your mental health system looks like currently in your district, and you can use this as kind of your baseline moving forward in the development of a comprehensive school mental health system. And I'm going to hand it over to Amy.
So ideally, when we're building these systems, what we're looking for is the policy, the planning. How is our district supporting these systems? So part of the benefit of having a SHAPE account is to really explain the importance and give a real step-by-step process and to get your administrative support. So part of those assessments that are provided is the trauma responsive schools assessment. The idea behind this is supporting school mental health through a really well-developed and rich system that has trauma-informed supports, that has really good social emotional competencies, et cetera. So I'm curious, are any of your schools implementing currently some trauma responsive approaches? Or are you familiar with trauma responsive approaches?
Feel
You're
free to
familiar with them? So Megan, if one of your schools is implementing trauma responsive approaches, would you mind clicking on and telling us one of the strategies that they might be using? Sorry to pick on you, I know.
No, it's okay. So I mean, I work for just one school. So here at South Point, we have social emotional learning every Friday for our college and career readiness classes, specifically for our 9th and 10th graders, so that when they move up to 11th and 12th grade and they're dealing with more difficult conversations, they're able to have some of those like SEL skills that we've been talking about. We also do have our social worker and myself that mainly help educate our instructors for how to have like a safe classroom environment and things like that. And we do SEL walkthroughs for that as well. But a lot of it right now is making sure that that information gets out to everybody. But we are an alternative population, so we work on that continuing education piece for our educators to make sure that the day-to-day for our students is really safe.
That's amazing. Thank you. And that is what we're talking about when we look at classroom strategies. So if you were to take this assessment, you probably score really high on the classroom strategies piece from what you're talking about. And that's part of really putting in place some good proactive frameworks of support. So as we go to the next slide, we'll see some of the kind of questions that are asked. There we go. One of the questions that is asked is, to what extent does your school district have a clearly defined process for students to report concerns about peers and staff? Knowing that that's a whole school prevention planning, and you get to decide like how well your school does it, from 1 being no, the process doesn't exist, to 4 being both the students and staff know how to refer students in an appropriate manner. So from questions like this, and this is also, you'll see in these questions, the reason why we have a multidisciplinary team approach is because oftentimes as a school counselor, a school social worker, or a school psychologist, I feel like all of these systems are in place and everybody knows about them because it's my world. But if I had one of our custodians or one of our administrative assistants at the table, they might say, we've never heard of anything like this before. And so it gives us a range of like, from those who know the system really well to those who may just not be as familiar with it. So that gives us the average of what we're looking at across our district. So the next slide will show what the report will come out to look like. So this report, these domains were developed with the National Child Traumatic Stress Network and the Resilience, Hope, and Wellness in Schools. Sorry, the National Child Traumatic Stress Network Treatment and Services Adaptation Center. Knowing that, we know that the practices in here are best practices, and the reports that come out can really be relied upon as evidence-based. So we'll see in here that we'll have everything from mastery to emerging domains. This school in particular did a pretty good job with whole school safety planning, but they did have some work to do in the whole school trauma programming or in staff and self-care. Now, maybe they would want to go in and attack one of those emerging areas, but most likely what we want to do is look at the progressing area and take that to mastery. That way we can feel like we have a little bit of success along our ways, and then maybe build in some staff self-care to bring that up. But we don't want to necessarily attack the most challenging area first. Instead, we want to give ourselves that ability to have small successes and wins in what they call plan, do, study, act, in small cycles of change. Next slide, please.
Okay, so the next assessment is the quality indicators assessment, and it goes into the 7 domains of a quality school mental health system. So teaming, needs assessment, resource mapping, screening, mental health promotion, services and supports, and all of the other ones that we discussed in prior slides are available. And what you do is you click on, when you're in the system, you would click on each of these areas to complete the assessment, and you'll see similar questions throughout each of those opportunities. And it's a Likert scale type of response for some of the questions. And when the question asks, does your district use best practices to make decisions? It gives you a description of what best practices look like, because in reality, best practices might look different for me than it does to the next person. And so this assessment allows for there to be some consistency in how people are operationally defining what a best practice looks like. And so you would go through each of those domains and you would answer each question, and that would bring you to, or your team to, the mental health quality report. And similar to the trauma-informed assessment, you'll see where your district is possibly hitting mastery, where you're progressing, and where you're emerging. You'll notice that this school district is early in the phase of setting up a comprehensive school mental health system. So all of the domains that they've ranked are in the emerging section or criteria. And so another really great component of the SHAPE system is the strategic planning guides. So this recommends bringing in the 3 lowest scores, but we recommend, similar to what Amy said, picking possibly some of those domains that you are in the progressing stages so that you can make growth. And you'll see when you're using the strategic planning guide within the system, you will write down 3 of the domains that your district or your team wants to, or your school wants to work on, but also you answer these questions. So the need for change, the desire for change, that's really important. Do you have the resources necessary to make sure that this change is happening, and what barriers are there? And once you go through that and you analyze which of those areas you would like to select, it's important to pick one domain from that list and create a strategic planning, or to engage in strategic planning around that one indicator, because we want to stay small and we want to stay focused, because we can't tackle everything all at once, especially if you look back at this, this example, every domain is in emerging. If this district picks 3 of those areas, maybe that's not feasible for them to go through and create a strategic plan to develop their system. So it's really important to intentionally go through the strategic planning guide and really focus and hone in on those areas that you do have the ability to and the resources to create change. Are there any questions? I know that we went through 2 assessments just now really quickly. We'd like to give the opportunity to engage and share. Amy and I both like having conversations and trainings. So I wanted to give you a moment to ask questions if you have any.
How many assessments are there?
So there are 2. You have the profile report, which is kind of like a bird's eye view of what's going on in your district, which is not necessarily an assessment, but then you have the trauma-informed assessment, and you have the mental health quality indicators assessment.
Okay, mental health quality?
Yes,
Okay.
the school mental health quality assessment. Yep. And that's the one, so we kind of went in a little bit of backwards order because it made sense to talk about the quality mental health domains right before strategic planning. But we do recommend going through, if you have to pick one, and within the system itself, you would start with the mental health quality domains and then into the trauma responsive assessment. You do get a gold star if you complete your profile and the quality of the mental health quality indicators assessment. So it really depends on the need of your organization on how you want to proceed with the assessments. That was a great question. Any other thoughts or questions around this? Has anyone heard of SHAPE or used SHAPE before? I can't see people either. So I don't know what I'm. All right.
No, I've never heard of Shape, but I would like to know for each, if you pick a domain, let's say that you want to work on for your school, every single domain has an outline of what we can do that's recommended by the Department of Ed to improve. And so we have their outline for us, so we don't have to come up with those targets.
Yeah,
That's
that's actually a great parlay into the next slide. So yes, if we look at, this is national recommendations, right? So this is best practices across the nation for comprehensive school mental health systems. The quality guides in particular, if I say, okay, teaming is an issue that, I would like to address within our district. So I can go to these quality guides, pick up the teaming quality guide, and then come up with very specific strategies within that domain in order to address.
right.
Now,
Are we
I
ready?
think, oh, go ahead.
I was just asking if we were ready to go to the next slide, or do we want to discuss this a little further?
No, I think if we stay here, because I am curious, how many of you all have a team of people that support mental health, or like you meet maybe once a month as a mental health team or as a school safety team that's addressing student mental health? How many people have that type of a system in place? See Megan saying yes. Go ahead, Rhonda.
In the Mesa School District, each of our comprehensive schools have what we call it's a care team. So it's kind of what you're talking about. There's a counselor, the school nurse, psychologist, and administrator, the social worker. And they actually just yesterday, they had a little training for all of us on WebEx. But so we have a team in place. And the idea is to support mental health needs of our students. One of my questions, I think, for you is this something that, because I'm in Mesa, is this something that the whole district would be doing, or is this something that the individual school can do? Or, I mean, I know you're referring to districts at certain times, but what do you normally see? A whole district that does this?
So we see it both ways. Casa Grande in particular has been using it school by school, and then that feeds into a district report. So you can do it as a group of individuals for a school site, which I'd highly recommend, because just because a district does really well doesn't mean an individual school site is doing really well, and vice versa, right? An individual school site could be doing phenomenal, but the district as a whole is not. And so I think if you're at a specific site, I would recommend doing it at the site level. And if you have the ability to do it as a larger district level, but that would require people from each site coming together to do it on the district level.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's pretty user-friendly platform. So when you go in there, you can select my district or my school. So it's really easy to navigate through there.
I have a question. Are there targets and suggestions and examples, resources specifically for elementary, middle, and high school, or are they all just a general? These are, because if I work in a high school, my needs might be different, or targets might be different than middle school example.
No, there is spaces in the SHAPE resource guide that will break it down by grade level, and not grade level, but groupings, right? So by middle, high school, or elementary.
Okay, perfect.
So certain strategies, like a teaming approach, is about the system itself. So it's going to talk in very general terms about what the system should look like. Now, specific strategies when you go into the trauma responsive classrooms, that type of thing, those are what are broken down.
Makes
Does that
total
make sense?
Yes, makes total sense. Thank you.
Megan?
Yeah, I had a quick question as well. So our team here that is focused on mental health is literally me and our social worker, and that's it. So when we're looking at these guides and we're trying to figure out how to get like everybody in the school on board with the like kinds of initiatives that we're trying to work on, how would you best suggest kind of like delegating or like strategizing around just basically having a 2-person team?
So that is something we see really often, and it is unfortunate because you can't have just 2 people inside any site working on the overarching mental health and system. So I commend you for the work that you are doing. I know it's difficult. And as you move forward in this, I would reach out to people you know are mental health champions. Maybe it's a teacher here, or maybe it is one of the custodians, one of the cafeteria workers, something like that, and then have them all come together, offer to have them fill it out individually. And then if they fill it out as an individual, it will lead into the district or into the school site or the school district, depending on how you want it to do. It will go into that larger profile, and you can culminate everybody's responses and come out with one report. So I can have 12 people fill this out based on their opinion, and then it culminates into one report, and then we can sit down and have a meeting. But really, it's the buy-in of grassroots, right? Finding people who have been affected by mental health, who have children of their own that are struggling with mental health, who see it as a need, and really mocking it up from there, if that makes sense.
Find the trailblazers.
Okay, so you will also find this National School Mental Health Best Practices implementation guidance, and it also goes through each one of the modules and helps provide, it's basically all those quality guides condensed into one booklet that can be printed off and referenced if that's what you want, or just saved as a PDF. And then you also have a resources tab in Shape. So if you'll see on the side, you can see each one of the domains on the left side, you'll see each one of the domains, and you can go into that domain and address something that's very specific. So you'll see teaming, you can ask for all teaming resources or just partners or students, those types of things. Okay, and next slide. And then Department of Education and Arizona Healthcare Cost Containment with our friends over at ADHS have all developed and reviewed this School and Behavioral Health Partnership Resource Guide. Ideally, what this does is give you guidance for collaborative partnerships, how to do a model referral policy to refer to outside agencies, but also to have students referred to the school counselor and school social worker. It also provides prevention, suicide prevention and postvention policies and guidelines that are really important for today's youth. I think the most important thing is the development of the comprehensive school mental health teams and how they can best partner together and develop a common language. Because oftentimes what we see in the schools is that we're really married to our discipline. So teachers have a discipline language of teaching, and then our social workers have a discipline language of social work. And sometimes it's really difficult to cross those barriers. So this guide can help you come up with that common language as well. Next slide. And then here you'll see there's an account demonstration located on YouTube. If you just go to this address, it will allow you to see how to set up your individual accounts and or an account for the school or district. Next slide.
I think that's a wrap.
All right, and that's it. So want to give everyone the opportunity to ask any questions. We have about 3 minutes left.
And please take note of the contact information on the screens. You can always reach out to Amy or I. You can also reach out to the Project Aware inbox, which is just projectaware@azed.gov as well.
And if you have any questions on supporting your team, on how to develop a comprehensive school mental health system, or on how to gain administrator buy-in, we're always a great resource. Lastly, if you have any questions about the Arizona Healthcare Cost Containment System and how to partner with them as schools to provide services to your students, or if you're having any difficulty getting services for your students, please reach out to us and we will connect you with access as well. On that
Okay.
note,
Thank you all for being here and taking your time to learn about and discover this important resource and all the work that you do.
yes, thank you for your work.